They're not there.
The only person who ever looked at the camera for Parker was Gabe. He was, oh God, he was freaking riot. He like literally just acknowledged, break the fourth wall almost. Thank you, viewers.
That's great. Really up for it.
He just had this moment. Much better.
2 more haircuts?
Three.
President, Mr. President. Good to go? Okay, I'd like to call the Village of Wolverine Lake February 14th of 2024 to order. Please stand for the pledge of the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Duff.
Here.
Dumont. Giramini.
Here.
Kiznecki. McNutt.
Here.
Nedrow.
Here.
O'Brien.
We've received notice that Mr. Dumont will not be here. Ms. Kaznicki is out of town, and Mr. O'Brien called right before the meeting stating that he's on his way to the hospital with his wife regarding his mother-in-law, so.
Make a motion that we excuse.
Motion by Duff, second by McNutt to excuse all three. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, additions to business.
We do have one tonight. You have on the table in front of you correspondence that I received yesterday from Mr. Dumont indicating that due to work obligations, he was resigning from council immediately. So I think we need to have council at some point accept the resignation, and then we would need to have some discussion about the process you want to follow to fill the vacancy.
Okay, why don't we make that pre-H, I guess, maybe? Does that sound fair?
Motion to amend as presented.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. As far as correspondence go, we had a notice from Hospitality House.
You approve the agenda?
Oh,
sorry.
yeah. Notice from Oakland County for Treasurer's Office for foreclosure prevention. A thank you note from Malik family. Appreciation of notice the village had for Bob. And we had also an email from Mr. Renwick regarding business item B3. So,
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
motion by Duff, second by Jeremy to receive and file. Any discussion? All in favor on that? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And I just wanted to also mention that any motion that we have tonight needs to have all four of us for approval, since we're missing three. So three would be fail. So with that, first call to public. Opportunity for citizen to address any council on agenda items only. Anybody who would like to speak, please state your name, address, and limit yourself to 4 or 5 minutes. Mr. Renwick?
Dave Renwick, 685 Amenia. I just felt compelled. I realize this is the second time this has been said or read in my name. But we have possibly one of the best police departments in the state, maybe in the country, in Wolverine Lake. We had a great police force under Joe George, and I believe that high-quality police service has been maintained, even bettered, under John Ellsworth. I've sat up there in that council chair for 4 years, and heard from so many residents that our police department has helped. Never knowing when I was sitting there that one day I would be the person that they would be coming to the house of to help. The 911 has had to be called 3 times for me, and all 3 times a Wolverine Lake officer is the first one on the scene, and extremely helpful to my wife. So, I mean, right down to locking the doors after she left, which, I'm sorry, that's above and beyond. So I would like to, this might be my last time in chambers, but I would like to thank Chief George for just plain, and well, Chief George and all the officers for just outstanding service. Their dedication, I wrote, their dedication and amazing community police service to all residents of Wolverine Lake, and especially to myself and my family in a time of great distress. And that's part 1. That was, to me, the most important tonight. But there's a second most important, but there's going to be a little filling in the middle. When I was elected to council, I received a call from then President Sienkiewicz, full of all kinds of suggestions on what I should do as a councilman. The last of which was to debate all I wanted during discussion, but that council should vote as a united front when we voted, and not against the majority of council. And I got to tell you guys, you're up there not to vote for what you guys want. You're not even up there to really vote your conscience. We all have a conscience up there. But what you're up there for, if you've been told otherwise, is to vote for the good of the people. And that wasn't always what my conscience was. I had special interests in my head, and I'm sure some of you do. But when you're up there to vote for the good of the community, not for the good of the other 6 people sitting up there. So if your vote might make somebody look bad, too bad. Vote it. Vote from what you know to be fair and right, not from what you've been told to vote for. And that brings me to the other equally important bit, agenda item 12B3 of adding Ed Sienkiewicz to the Cliff Cottrell Memorial Plaque. I'm sorry I called it preposterous in this letter, and I say that out loud here. It's a preposterous idea. He has bullied, bothered, and attacked people. I've been here 39 years now, and he was doing it then. One of his big things that he likes to always mention is how many years he's been on council, how many years he's been here. And sorry, that doesn't mean squat if you're a bully and basically misinforming people. I sent an email to all of you, and it has a link in it. I suggest you watch that YouTube video if you haven't seen it, because you can watch the little smirk on his face when he's telling a lie. You can see it. And he repeatedly modifies his lie and thinks, well, nobody had a camera on him when he said the original thing, so he's going to get away with it. And that's not the Cottrell Memorial. I put it in here as for distinguished service. It's not for longevity. It's not for bullying people. It's not for being a punk. It's for, it again, goes back to voting. It's voting for the people, not for yourself. So So I encourage you with all my heart, please do not add his name to that plaque, because it would be a grave injustice. You can see other people, other villagers, and they even mentioned several who would not be on camera because they were afraid of a council person. Why do you got to be afraid of a council person? You wonder why more people don't come to the meetings. There's people that are afraid of council. And that's pitiful. I'd be embarrassed. I was embarrassed often to sit up there. Please, please do not add that name. Bob Malik, he served with distinction. He voted for the people. He often voted against council. Bless his heart, I did not even know he had passed. And I mourn his passing because he was a good man and a good council person. But Ed Sinkowitz, no. No, I cannot recommend that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none? Okay, we'll move on. Board appointments. Nope. Consent agenda, sorry about that. Yeah, moving on.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Motion by Duff. Second. Second by McNutt. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Duff,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Nedra.
Yes. Now we're on board appointments. Recommendation from council to appoint Natalie Naughton for the term expiring December 31st, 2026, and Amanda Mogg for the term expiring December 31st of 2025. Parks and Rec Board, tentatively effective March 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy. Any discussion, Mark? What's anything?
Really excited to have them come aboard.
I know Amanda's on the beautification committee also.
Yep, and has done a great job there. And yeah, it's Valentine's Day. I have a feeling this wasn't where they wanted to go. But yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Okay. Motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with unanimously with 4 of us, I guess. Moving on, Rena's not here.
She is coming from the village of Collie tonight.
Oh.
So she'll get here as soon as she can. I think their meeting also started at 7, so if we could pass that matter by until she gets here.
Defer that until
Yeah.
she gets here. Okay, and with that, we'll move on to our engineer.
Good evening, Council. Happy Valentine's Day. We are finally to the point where we're looking to start the Wolverine Lake ditch enclosure. Apparently, the contractor is mobilizing out there this weekend, and he is hoping to get the rest of the structures and piping between Monday and Tuesday, meaning we should actually start seeing some pipe go into the ground, hopefully on Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest, depending on when the pipes get out there. So it'll probably take him about 3 weeks to do the project, I'm expecting. We will be on site inspecting and verifying everything for our plans. Otherwise, we've sent a letter to the residents to let them know. We've gotten quite a few calls back, answering some of their questions, letting them know what to expect, to make sure they move their car out of their driveway so that they don't get stuck in their driveway when he gets to that portion. Letting them know that we'll be restoring their property. There were some questions about, they had already done their work, and we did let them know that we'd be putting it back to the existing conditions. And I think that pretty much covers the Wolverine Lake ditch enclosure.
Hopefully that moves smoother than Benstein Road.
Almost has to.
I hope so too. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
I don't think so. I'm sure frost laws aren't going to bother his equipment.
No, they're very large pieces, so what he'll be using stuff that'll go straight through any frost. And I don't think there's a whole lot of frost in the ground this year. It's been a very odd year. So hopefully we can get that going, because in the spring, that's when we see the most erosion in our ditch lines. So hopefully we can get that in before spring and not have to worry about all the eroding into the Greenway drain, so.
Okay.
Michelle, maybe you said once it gets started, how long do you think that's going to take?
I expected him to take him about 3 weeks total. Obviously, that's probably, might be a little optimistic. He is a smaller outfit, so it will take him a little longer. He doesn't have quite as large of a crew on hand, so.
Is that the 6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah.
6 months, yeah.
They're going on a year right now.
Yeah, they're,
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure it won't take a year. Okay, anything else for our engineer? Okay, thank you, Michelle. Public hearings. Public hearing tonight to reprogram our fiscal year 2020 CDBG funding. I guess we need a motion to open public hearing. By Duff.
Second.
Second by McNutt. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We're now open for a public hearing.
So maybe if I could just start, we've talked about this before, but this is a procedural requirement of the guidelines for the CDBG programming. Going back to program year 2020, the village had allocated part of the CBDG programming to make the doors down here in the council chambers handicap accessible to bring us into compliance with the ADA. The project was delayed by COVID. The work eventually was done by Stanley Doors. As part of the process, we had a pre-construction meeting between the Oakland County Community Development Block Grant staff, myself, and a representative from Stanley. At the time of the pre-construction meeting, the rep from the county explained in great detail the documentation that Stanley would be required to provide under the CDBG guidelines in order for the village to be able to request reimbursement for the cost of the project from the county using our CDBG funds. Stanley had indicated at that point in time that providing the documentation would be no problem, if they had worked with the county on other projects, and it wouldn't be an issue. Well, the work was done. We went ahead and we paid Stanley, and unfortunately, we were never able to get any of the necessary paperwork from Stanley. I even talked with the folks at the county about it, and they reached out to Stanley, and they were also not able to get any of the documentation from Stanley. So, again, this is from really 4 years ago now at this point, the project year 2020. So we're at the point now that the federal government has the ability to reclaim our share of the block grant funding since we haven't used it. So rather than run the continued risk of having our half of that money for that year reclaimed, the county had recommended that we go through the process and reprogram the funding from the door project down here to their housing improvement program, which is a program that they run and they administer, and there'll be no issue with the funds being utilized. So that was their recommendation. I think it makes perfect sense at this point in time. As part of the reprogramming process, we're required to have a public hearing. That's why we're here tonight, to see if any members of the public have any comment on our proposal to shift the money from the door project into the county's housing improvement program.
Okay, with that, doesn't look like we have anybody that's going to have any concerns about that, so. With that, I guess we'll motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy to close the public hearing for 2020 CDBG funding. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay. now we're on to new business, which is reprogramming, which is reprogramming the 2020 funds. And we were looking at reprogramming to $3,500 going to the, which one was it?
From the public facilities and improvements, removing architectural barriers activity classification to the housing rehabilitation
That's right.
for single-unit residential. So the resolution you have in front of you would be the village formally asking the county to go ahead and move forward with the process of reprogramming the money.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Duff.
Second.
Second by Jeremy. Any discussion on that? Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Jeremy,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Nedrow,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We're finally done with that.
Let's hope so. Thank you.
Okay. Next item B is administrative committee recommendations. First one, I think what we'd probably like to do, since we only have 4 council people here today out of 7, and we should just push this until next month. We have a full
Motion to
board.
table. Second.
Motion by Duff, second by McNutt, table
Item B.
all item B,
Yep.
all 3? Okay.
Yes.
To next month's council meeting. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Planning Commission recommendations. Review and approve the 2023 annual planning report, which is required by the Michigan Enabling Act. That I think we can move forward with tonight. This is a report that we get every year from planning consultant puts it together, so basically what we've done over the
As
years.
presented.
Motion by Duff,
Or receive and approve as
Receive and approve.
presented.
Second.
second by Jeremy. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay. Next one is tiki candle purchases. And Pam was nice enough to put a good synopsis together. In fact, we talked a little bit at Mr. Malik's funeral there. She's out of town, but she wanted to give us an idea what options we had for candle purchases this year. I don't know if everybody's read her letter, but candles, we can continue to get those at English Gardens. We could purchase them from 3 different Menards stores. Menards has them on sale right now on clearance, actually, for approximately $3.75 a candle, which is a significant drop. We could take a chance and wait at the end of February and see what new candles from Menards receives this year if we want to. We could purchase some candles from both sources, saving residents some money and still keeping your connections with English Gardens. I actually looked on the website for Menards. They've got them all over, but the problem is they have them all over, and you have to get 5 here and 20 there.
Can you just buy them online?
We can, yeah, and we could have them
You ship them
shipped.
to
We could
the
have them
store?
shipped, which is still going to save some money, so.
Usually they'll ship to the store for free.
Problem is, you have to go to Toledo to pick them up.
Ship them to
I don't know. I don't know if they can ship them to Wixom or whatever.
Yeah, her memo indicates that we'd be potentially buying them from 3 different stores in Ohio, but they would ship them. But yeah, it's not clear if they would ship them
If they'd ship
directly to
them
us,
right to-
if they would ship
right
them
to
over
Menards.
over to Wixom. but-
I remember.
I think probably clearance items, they probably wouldn't ship them to another store. But I don't know. I guess that's something we could look into. But
Yeah. You want to table this one until she's back? I mean, it's not going to hurt. I don't think they're going to.
Probably not. And the other thing is
It's February.
tiki candle purchases have been going down. I mean,
Yeah.
people are getting their own, tiki torches.
I think the lower
Using
price
those.
was,
Huh?
I think the lower price was.
Yeah, I
Was to
agree.
sell more. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
Yeah, $5.25 a piece.
yeah.
It's getting a little pricey. I remember
Yep.
when they were a couple bucks a piece and
Yeah.
a little bit more manageable. But I I guess we can push it off.
Yeah, I'd say I'd make a motion that we table this until Pam is able to be here to talk on it.
Okay. Motion by Duff, second by McNutt. To push us till next month, hopefully. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
What we could do, if you want, I can talk to her when she's back in town, and if there is any urgency with the end of the month, I think we are going to be having a work session.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2
we can
weeks.
always do that, too.
So we can
Yeah.
just transition from a work session to a special meeting, and then if she needs some authorization to make a purchase, or otherwise, we can hold it over till March. So
That sounds like a good option.
just give us the option, the flexibility.
Probably a worse, Menards sells out of their clearance candles or something, and we just buy from
I can't imagine they're going to have a run on them in March.
I doubt it.
Alrighty. Next item, Davie Resource Group Tree Keeper Software Renewal. Our administrator put a nice little memo together on that regarding what he thought we should do.
Yeah, again, this is the software that's related to the tree inventory that we had done. And we did receive a complimentary use of the software for 1 year as part of the actual tree inventory contract. But that was a year ago, so that complimentary year is up. I've talked about this at length with Andy Stone and the DPW, and at this point in time, we still think that we should continue the subscription. We both see at some point in time, we may not need it. But again, we're just barely a year into having the data, and it is easier to manage. I can vouch for the fact that it is easier to manage having the software. I mean, we have the data either way, but in terms of being able to manage it, it's easier with the software. So, as the memo indicates, my recommendation is that we just renew for 1 more year at this point in time. And then in a year, we can make a decision as to whether or not we need to continue, and if we do need to continue, then we could potentially look at maybe a longer term, and then maybe getting some cost savings by going for a longer term.
Sounds good.
So what do we do with the data?
It's really to prioritize the work that we're doing on trees more than anything else. So just to give you an example, when Davie came through, they identified the trees that they thought were in poor condition, and then they made recommendations as to what kind of maintenance should be done. Do they need to be pruned? Do they need to be removed? In fact, just this week, we had 2 large oak trees on the north side of the road in the right-of-way that were part of the inventory that were recommended for removal by Davie. So we had that done this week. So we're trying to knock off the trees that are dangerous. One of the things, for example, that we can do, having the software, is in addition to the actual tree data itself, Davie has imported GIS data from Oakland County's database. So we can go in and we can look to see where property lines are. So we can see, for example, which trees are in the right-of-way, which trees are on private property, things like that. I mean, the Davie employees that were doing the tree survey, they made their best guess based upon what they could tell looking at their tablet. But we get more use out of the data having the software. And we haven't really had a need to do that, but using the software, you can generate a number of reports too. You can generate data as to the Davie assigns a financial value and benefit to having trees in the community. You can come up with those figures and things like that. So.
Sounds feasible for 1 more year.
Do you ever know how many of the, because we had 9 that were high priority to remove. Do you ever know how they progressed on that?
I think including the 2 over here, I think we've done 3 or 4 of the 9 so far. Yeah. And I want to say, I think there were maybe a total of maybe 18 or so that were identified to be removed in the report.
So, yeah, there was additional remove. 9 were high to remove, 14 were high priority to prune.
Okay, yeah,
And then,
so.
Motion to approve a 1-year renewal of the Navy resource for tree keeper software.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy. Any other discussion on that one? Roll call vote, please.
McNutt?
Yes.
Nedrow?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Moving on. It's the second reading and adoption of ordinance. We've got, this is the first one, I guess, for F, which is the fowl ordinance, right? Chicken ordinance. Correct. So this is, again, to move forward and adopt it tonight.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy. Any discussion on that? Do roll call, I guess.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Nedrow?
Yes.
Nope. Oh, yes.
McNutt, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, that's done.
And just one follow-up comment on that. The ordinance will have to go ahead and be published before it becomes effective, and we'll get to work on that. We've also had discussions, we'll put the application together for the permit. The ordinance does require an application fee to be set by a resolution of council, so we'll put that recommendation together. We'll have that for you at our next meeting in March.
Okay,
So,
good. All right, that was a follow-up or a follow-up?
I ain't touching that one.
Moving on, G.
That's a dad joke all the way.
Ordinance amendments for hot tubs and spas. So this is going to be the introduction of first reading ordinance 39-A1, which, as you remember, we discussed this, we had this discussion, it came from planning previously to council, and had a couple of residents that were concerned about it, so it went back to planning, and planning re-looked at it, and made some changes. Didn't actually change the first portion here. So this is basically, the first one was to put the language of spas and hot tubs in the swimming pool ordinance. So essentially, that's what the first one was. Yeah. Motion to approve that one?
Yep.
Or introduce?
Sorry.
Yep.
Motion to introduce.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by McNutt to introduce. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries on that. Second is introduction and first reading of ordinance 154-A2, which is as far as design standards to add spas and a hot tub to the general design standards regarding non-storm water discharges. So this is if you're draining hot tub or a spa in the same fashion that you would a swimming pool. So there's constraints as far as how to do that, with the chlorine water and everything, so.
Motion to approve.
Motion to introduce
Sorry.
that one.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3. Again, this is to introduce ordinance 106A-118 for hot tubs and spas under definition of lot coverage.
Motion to introduce.
Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by McNutt this time. Any discussion on that?
That one, there was some discussion in the planning meeting regarding how to assess that, if I recall. I was watching that online.
Yeah, whether we were going to include it in lot coverage or not. And so we decided, I believe, to leave it the way it was.
Okay.
Because it's basically a hard surface. So that is the subject there. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried on that. Item 4, introduction of first reading of ordinance 106A-119. And this is under accessory structures for bulk building limitations for, again, hot tubs and spas.
Motion to introduce.
Motion by Duff.
Second.
Second by McNutt. Any discussion on that? Again, we did not change this from what we originally intended. Planning didn't. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries on that. Item 5, introduction and first reading of ordinance 106A-120, and this is pertaining to accessory structures in multifamily residential districts.
Motion introduced.
Motion by Duff. Second by McNutt. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Number 6, introduction, first reading of ordinance 106A-121. This is for site design regulations regarding fences, arbors, and trellises, in order to modify certain regulations pertaining to spas and hot tubs and adjacent decks in the village of Wolverine Lake. So essentially, this is to allow for fences in lakefront yards where hot tubs and spas would be in lakefronts. So,
Introduced.
Second.
motion by Duff, second by Jeremy. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 7, this is the last one, regarding that. This ordinance, ordinance 106A-122. And this is where it talks about sizes of spas. We didn't change the size, didn't change the placement. It's basically to allow them in lakefront yards. I think we did change the...
This is the one proposed ordinance that was changed as a result of sending everything back to the planning commission, going through the public hearing process again. And the change that came out of that is that, as proposed before, the ordinance wouldn't allow a swimming pool and a spa or hot tub on the same property, but then
That's
after
right.
discussion, the planning commission decided that you could have one of each.
So in the lakefront yard, we could have both a pool and a spa or hot tub.
Even if the hot tub was above ground and the pool was in ground.
Right.
As opposed to before, they both had to be in ground.
Lakefront,
To permit that.
lakefront yards, pools are only supposed to be in ground. But the planning commission at that point originally decided to just have either one or the other. So they went back to it and decided that it would be allowed to have both, one of each. And at that point, the hot tub or spa would not be considered an accessory structure. It was exempt from that portion. So that was the change that was made. So, with that,
Motion introduced.
motion by Duff to introduce. Second by McNutt. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We are at the second call of the public.
Pre-H.
Oh, pre-H, sorry. Good catch. I had it written down, but I missed it. So we got resignation. We received, as Mr. Gillum said, we received a email, I think it was, right?
Actually, it was a text.
Or text message from Mr. Gillum?
I've had talked to Mr. Dumont several times over the last month or so, and he indicated to me that when we first started talking about this, that there was a possibility that because of a new job he had taken, that he wouldn't be able to regularly make it to council meetings, that he felt that there was a good chance that he might have to be resigning in the future. I obviously told him to keep me posted, and we've had a couple other conversations, and then finally yesterday, he and I talked, and he indicated that he was going to be submitting something to me. I indicated it didn't need to be in writing for the village charter. He did send what you have in front of you on the village letterhead. It was sent by text, so I took the liberty of putting on a village letterhead. And I spoke to him this morning and let him know I had done that, and he said that's really what he had in mind. So, and as the memo indicates, he regrets he's having to make this decision, but he just doesn't feel that he's going to be able to give the position the time and the effort that he feels that it deserves. So you have his resignation. I've also included the language from section 5.5 of the village charter. The charter provides that if there is a vacancy in the office of a councilman, that the village should, within 60 days after the vacancy occurs, fill the vacancy by way of appointment. So So that's kind of the timeline or the shot clock that you're working off of, assuming that you actually accept his resignation tonight. I also did a little bit of digging in my files and found, going back to 2012, when Pat Nagy had resigned from a position on the council had set a procedure to fill council vacancies. And then this is the procedure that council followed in, I think, 17 or 18, when Mike Stack had to resign from the council. So, and essentially what this involves is posting, requesting resumes, letters of interest, and then followed up by interviews by the full council, and then a council decision as to who council feels is the best candidate to fill the vacancy. So I guess one thing at a time. First of all, I think we need to have a motion to formally accept Commissioner Dumont's resignation in order for that resignation to become effective. And then assuming there is a motion, then I think we need to have some discussion about the process you want to follow to go about filling the vacancy.
Motion to accept, receive, and file his resignation.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Girmini. Any discussion on that? Yeah, I know Dave's been talking about this for a little while, so I'm concerned about it. So with that, I guess we'll do a roll call, please.
Duff,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes. I'm sure we'll have time to thank him for his service down the road here.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him this morning, I said, what's going on? You still got a house here in the village? He's currently working out of state. That's been the big problem that he's had. That's why he's missed the last several council meetings. And at least for the near future, he is going to be working out of state. But he said he intends to keep his house here in the village. So he's still going to be around. And I got a feeling he'll probably pop up at one of our meetings in the not-too-distant future. So.
Okay. Well, as far as the filling the vacancy then, I mean, if we accept this resignation tonight, like you said, basically before we've had 60 days, so I think it'd be prudent to try to get that filled as quick as we can. I guess we can advertise in what the Oakland, the previous follow-up for the spinal column, I guess.
The Public Notice Weekly no longer exists, so.
That doesn't even.
Our legal paper of record is the Oakland County Legal News.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So I think what you and I had talked about earlier today, Brian, was going ahead and putting a notice in the legal news, although I don't know that a lot of people are going to see that other than lawyers who probably wouldn't be interested in applying
I
for a
mean, it would be a
position.
village resident that sees that.
Yeah.
It's not
But more importantly, we'll put something on the website.
Right.
We'll send out an email blast.
Social media.
Social media channels, get the word out. And then for anyone that's interested, what we're going to be asking for is for residents, you need to be a resident for a year. And you also need to be a registered voter. And if you meet those two qualifications, if you're interested in interviewing for the position on council, then you'll need to submit a cover letter of interest and a resume to the Village Hall to my attention. And we'll figure out what the deadline will be, probably within the next couple of weeks, I would think.
It'd be nice if we could have maybe a deadline before the next work session, possibly.
I mean, we could set a deadline. We've got the work session, which I assume we'll set later on in the agenda. But that'll be on the 28th. We could set a deadline on the 26th, the Monday before. And then I could update council at the work session on the 28th.
If we had enough candidates, we could have an interview at the next council meeting in March.
And then you'd make a decision as to whether or not, it would be manageable to do it at our regular March council meeting, or if you want to have a special meeting to do the interviews. So that'd be my thoughts anyway.
Formal motion to set the deadline.
I guess we could.
I make a motion that we set the deadline on the 26th.
Okay, February 26th.
February 26th? Yeah.
It's, what, a couple weeks?
Yeah, 12 days.
Almost 2 weeks, yeah.
Give people 2 weekends to...
And I'm sure we can jump on getting it out, social media tomorrow.
Well, I've already talked with Tabitha and Paige. Yeah, we'll have something out tomorrow.
Great,
So,
okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Duff, second by McNutt. We have a deadline for applications for public council vacancy for February 26th. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right.
okay. And then again, I'll update you on the 28th, and we can figure out exactly which direction we want to go from there. So,
Sounds like a plan. Now we're at the second call of public. Motion. No? Oh, yeah, so let's do Rena first. Yep. Oh, she's here, sorry. We might as well go to our audit presentation from our auditor.
Good evening.
Hi, Rena.
Hello. Thank you for accommodating me this evening. Again, my name is Raina Emmons. I'm a partner with PSLZ. It's my pleasure to be here tonight and present to you the Village of Wolverine Lakes annual audited financial statements for your fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023. Starting off with some highlights, the village did receive the highest level of audit opinion possible, which is the unmodified opinion, so no exceptions, disclaimers, nothing bad to report this evening. Starting with your largest source of revenues, property tax revenues, you had a 5.9% increase this year, which is all taxable value. It's not a millage rate increase or anything like that. So all value within the village increased. The prior year was 3.9%. So just to give you an idea of the increase there. State shared revenue, also a major source. However, that was pretty much flat this year. That's the state income tax and sales tax that the state collects and distributes to the local units. Flat this year. They're projecting maybe a slight increase next year, but it all depends on how the collections come in for the state. You did add $247,000 to the general fund balance this year, ending with $3.1 million. You had expected to use $87,000 of the general fund balance. Fortunately, that didn't happen, so we ended up better than...
And we had a couple projects we were going to spend some money on that didn't come up yet, so push down the road, I guess you could say, huh?
The building permits and licenses, we usually talk about that just to give you an idea of the activity in the past year within the village. It was almost identical to the year before. So prior year, 22, was about 65,000. This year was about 61,000. So pretty comparable. Your operating expenditures are very consistent. I mean, if I come to put them side by side, fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23, again, very consistent, to about 2.7 million. We'd like to see that because, well, fortunately, some things we have are out of our control with expenditures. But so it was nice to see operating expenditures staying about the same. Major capital projects included some park improvements, and also the new police boat is included in these numbers as well. You did pay down debt, $191,000 of principal this year, and you paid out the 2013 special assessment bond in this fiscal year. So that always feels good to get one more down. Total outstanding principal right now is $1.163 million left as of June 30th. There was an increase in the net pension liability this year of $447,000. The year before, it actually decreased, but this year we have a somewhat significant increase, $447,000. The pension liability went up $227,000, but your plan assets decreased $220,000. So that delta of both of those things, the assets went down because of a net investment loss this year of $349,000. The year before, you had a net investment gain of $414,000. So these are the MERS plan assets. They're valued as of December 31st each year. So the ones in this audit are valued as of December 31st, 2022, which was not a good day in the stock market. However, you have recouped most of that this year. 12/31/23, I believe, was a much better day in the market. You didn't sell anything off, so we're good. It's not realized or anything like that. So hope to have a better report for you next year as far as the pension plan goes, but nothing to worry about there. You have been making that extra contribution to the pension plan of $100,000. It's been 8 years. You've been doing that very consistently. So that leaves you with 68.6% funded this year. The year before was 77%. So a little dip, but that, hopefully, that's going to, you've done everything right, and then some. The extra you, of course, are in compliance with all your contributions, and you've also put a lump sum extra as well.
So the dip in it, why, is that caused by financial?
The stock market value.
Stock market,
At year end. So with that, if there's anything specific, anyone has any specific questions I can answer, I'm happy to do that.
Are there any changes potentially coming down the road from MERS in terms of expected rate of return or anything like that that we might need to be concerned with?
Well, they've been pretty consistent, and now they're really required to follow, the state legislature has a uniform assumption, they call it, so they have to stay within the realm of, they can't go above or below, on their discount rate and rate of returns, things like that. So they're kind of limited, and it's not a bad thing, because we don't want crazy assumptions. That's why this legislature is dictating to the actuaries, basically, what we can use and what we can't use. So no significant changes coming up on that that I'm aware of. But you see how just a day in the stock market can really move the numbers.
Yeah.
But again, I want to reassure you, you've done everything right and some. So I'm hoping the numbers look different next year.
We're still looking for 2 more years at least to put the same amount into pension plans. So.
And Jennifer was actually in touch with MERS today.
Yes, I was, and it was regarding the rate of return. In 2022, they had overall, for MERS, for everything, they had a negative 10.24%, and that's for the year 2022. And for the year 2023, they had an 11.92% rate of return, and so that is a very large swing. So
Positive. Positive.
It's a positive, yeah.
There we go. Okay.
It should be looking better in the future.
And I think, if I remember right, Jen, I think 2022 was the worst year in terms of the investment performance, going all the way back to 2008. And we all
That
remember
is correct.
We all remember what 2008 was like.
Yeah. In 2008, it was a negative 24%. But yeah, these rate of returns go back to 1989, and that's the biggest one since that year. So, and then it bounced right back in 23. So that's like a 20-point bounce. So from a negative negative 10.24 to a positive 11.92.
And they actually, those actuarials, that's right, they follow 2 years, like 2 years in arrears.
Right.
So they're actually looking at 2 years ago. So
Yes.
those performances will go up. Should go up.
Yeah, we won't find out we won't get our actuarial for 2023 until June of this year. So we'll get some quarterlies from them in about 2 weeks, but the big actuarial report won't be till June.
Great.
And I learned today, too, that apparently there is a difference between actuarial value and fair market value in terms of the funding of the pension system. And to be honest, I'm not sure I still understand exactly what the difference is, but there is a difference. Whereas the government relies upon the fair market value, and then MERS relies upon the actuarial value. So I guess taking into consideration all of the things that actuaries take into consideration, like mortality rates and the fact that not everyone that is eligible for and is put in for a pension actually collects a pension and things like that. So learn something every day.
Yep. Yeah, they have, on the report we got last June for 2022, they had our actuarial set at 78% when the real was 67%, the market value, and the state goes by that, so not the actuarial value. So when I said that, it kind of became clear to me, so when we get it, we'll kind of be able to read it better this next year when we see that, because,
More of a solid figure.
yeah.
Right, the state does look at the audit as far as your pension plan, and you do separate reporting for your pension plan. It's been required for, I don't know, about 3 or 4 years. The legislature threw that in as well, an extra report for the village to file, that basically takes a lot of this information on the pension plan and reports to them. So it all comes out of here, so we're all consistent.
Great. Thanks again for a great report.
Well, thank you to the village staff, Treasurer Hanson, great help, has been doing a great job. The administrator, Tabitha and Paige, we can't forget them. Everyone's very involved, I get everybody involved in the audit, so very much appreciated. Thank you.
Well, just thanks to Raina, too.
Yeah.
She does more than help us with the audit. She helps us with some other miscellaneous issues as they come up throughout the year. We appreciate your support and your availability. So.
Oh, my pleasure to stop by whenever I'm needed. Nice to see everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rena.
Okay. I guess, do we need a motion to accept the report?
Motion to accept the report as presented.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by McNutt. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're at the second file coverage. So state your name, address. Please limit yourself to 5 minutes.
It'll be real quick. I know you guys want to leave tonight. Dave Leyburn, 2335 Shaken. Is Michigan Municipal League still in operation? Do you folks attend to it?
We're members, yes, we are.
Members, yeah.
Do they still have the meetings around the state?
They have an annual conference.
Just an annual one? They don't have anything on a regular basis?
Not that I'm aware of.
What other one is it that has it? And I remember I went to Detroit, Grand Rapids, Traverse City, Marquette, and they would have classes, and they would have speakers. Matter of fact, that one year was Jeffrey Feiger, and I think he was in Marquette. So they must not have those conferences. The reason I'm asking you, they had a fantastic,
I'm sure they do.
fantastic lectures about what goes on in the municipality. I really got a lot of good information. Do you folks still have mayor exchange?
No, I don't think we really have.
See, every year we had a mayor exchange. Each city would pick another city and we'd go there and observe what they did. We got a lot of great ideas from the different cities and villages. It was an excellent way to know the people around and also see what kind of programs they had that we could improve in the village. The other question I have, and the last one, the beautification committee, is that something that is part of the village, or is it just a private group that meets?
It's part of the village.
Pardon me?
It's part of the village. It's an
Okay.
active committee.
Do you have to be on the board, or how do you get on it?
No,
Know what?
you don't have to be part of it. You can help out on a beautification committee if you want.
You can just come and join it?
Participate.
Okay.
You're appointed, I mean, there was.
Is that the village,
We appointed people.
you don't appoint anybody, it's just people meet, is that correct?
No, we did appoint.
You do appoint?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a.
And the reason I'm asking is Joanne wanted to join it, and they told her, you have to be a homeowner to join it. She says, I live at 2335, I have my voting registration here, but no, I'm sorry, you have to have a house here. And the reason I was pushing her to go there she won first place in Troy in the Parade of Homes, her landscaping and everything else, which I thought she could bring a lot to the village. But they didn't want her. Do you have a list of all the people that's on that committee?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask for it, okay?
Sure.
Yeah, we can get that for you.
Just curious.
Sure. Yeah.
Because he should have been in that committee. But anyhow,
Yeah, they meet, I believe it's the fourth Monday of every
11
month at
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, seeing that, we'll move on to item I, which is Administrator Gillum, request council to move into closed session immediately after agenda item 17 to discuss collective bargaining strategy.
And for my annual performance review.
Yes, yes. With that, I guess we need a motion to move into closed session.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremini. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Do we get a roll call for either of those?
Oh, roll call, that's right, we
For
did.
the,
No,
No.
for those two particular purposes, you do not need a roll call vote. No. So,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, set topics for the February 28th work session, which is going to be village goals for sure.
Right?
Huh?
Budget, goal.
Yeah, budget and goals.
yeah, primarily goal setting.
Pretty much goal setting, and we'll do budget later on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, what we've done the
kinda
last-
done started on it.
What we've done since I've been the administrator is, we have the work session in February to talk about goals and identify goals for the upcoming year, and that provides some direction for Jennifer and I and the department heads in terms of putting the actual budget together for your consideration later. And then we have an actual budget work session in May, the idea being then we adopt the budget for the following fiscal year at our regular meeting in June.
All right. So with that,
Motion to set the topic.
okay. Motion by Duff, do I hear a second?
second.
Second by Jeremini. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. I don't think we have any other pending business at this point tonight.
None that I'm aware of, thank you.
So it's Valentine's Day. Update from Police Chief Ellsworth.
I don't think you really have anything tonight. I'm just now recovering from being sick again, so things seem to be moving right along. A conference last week was kind of a bust. I ended up leaving halfway through it, and it was not a good week for us around here. We had several of our staff members that were out with illness, so.
A lot of stuff going around.
But, yeah, there was a lot of stuff going around, but, no, it's, we still had a very busy month last month, and Deputy Chief Silvic sat in for me last month during the council meeting. I appreciate that. He's going to be just fine. I am very, very confident in his abilities and me leaving in July. So 3 more haircuts. Thank you.
3 more.
You put
There
out
we go.
that, the Narcan,
Oh, yeah, we did have in January, actually in December, we had a conversation with the Health Alliance of Oakland County, and that's it's an alliance of different mental health organizations and drug organizations that they put out these vending boxes, if you see them. If you've seen it on the front porch, it's full of Narcan, it's got fentanyl test kits, heroin test kits, different things that generally, every day, we will never use something like that. However, if there is a need for an emergency, there's free fentanyl and free testing kits in our, it looks like a newspaper box out there. It's refilled every week. People take as much as you want. It's free, and it can save a life. So if you know of somebody that has or continues to use narcotics, it's always good to have around the house. It doesn't expire. It can sit outside. It can freeze and thaw, everything. But it's there for the taking. Please help yourself if you feel the need to have some in your house or your vehicle. It's always a good thing. We carry it in all our cars, all our bags. We have them in our personal vehicles as well, because you never know when you're going to come across somebody. So, but thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. that it is a really good thing that we teamed with the Health Alliance. They're handling everything, we just give them a place to put it, so it's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Update from Treasurer Hanson.
I want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day, and I want to thank Rena for all the help she's given me over the last year. She really has done a lot, been able to answer all my questions, and she comes in and gives me lots of help, so thank you. And other than, taxes, the last day to pay taxes is February 29th, and after that, we'll be turning them over to the county and starting the new tax year pretty much. So other than that, that's it for me.
Great, well, thank you. You did a great job on the audit, too. Appreciate it. Mr. Gillum.
Just a couple quick things. First of all, I mentioned earlier that we did have a couple of large oak trees that were taken down along Glengarry. We received several phone calls. I even got a call from the folks over in Commerce Township because people were calling them because they thought they were doing some major tree cutting in the park over there. So I assured the folks over in Commerce, and we let the people who called the village hall that the two trees that were taken down, were very large trees, but they were trees that were identified during last year's tree inventory as being dangerous trees, and the recommendation was that we remove those. So again, we're trying to get the low-hanging fruit, if you will, and those were two trees where we wanted to get them down, and we had a contractor that was available to take them down at what we thought was a reasonable price. So we went ahead and got that done. Just a reminder to everyone that next Monday is the President's Day holiday. The Village Hall will be closed. There will not be a delay in trash pickup. So you still need to get your trash out to the curb by 7 o'clock on Sunday morning if you want to have it picked up. And then finally, Mr. Renwick had mentioned Bob Malik. In his comments earlier, I had probably 15 or 20-minute conversation with Dolores Malik, with Bob's wife, this morning. She's doing, I would say, probably as well as can be expected under the circumstances. And fortunately, she's still got some family in the village and family in the area that are helping her out. But she wanted me to go ahead and pass along to everyone, the village council, number one, all the village employees, just everyone in the village, that she's appreciated, and the rest of the family too. They've appreciated all the well wishes and all the support that they've received from everybody since Bob passed away. I told her that we all miss Bob. I know that in fact, literally, I told her I know we don't miss him as much as you do, so we miss Bob too. So, but again, she wanted to say thank you to everybody. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Council comments. It's going to be quick tonight, probably. Let's start with Jeremy, I guess.
Thanks to Amanda and Natalie for joining Parks and Rec. Look forward to having them. Bunny Luncheon is March 23rd. If you want to get in there, it fills up pretty quickly. Thank you to Dave Dumont for all he's done on council and water board, everything else. Worked with him a lot when he was liaison for Parks and Rec. And one final thing, the Onwards and Upwards has scholarships up for this year. Two $2,000 scholarships. One, the Danny Laida Memorial Scholarship for a village resident. And then the other, the Mike Conduct Memorial Scholarship for a non-resident who has shown tremendous service to the village despite never having lived here. So we're excited to be able to award those and looking forward to getting some great applications.
Great. Thank you. Mike?
Just thank you to Dave Dumont, and happy Valentine's Day.
Clerk?
Happy Valentine's Day. Good job on the audit. Thanks for comments.
And just wanted to make sure that we kept Bill Bryan's family in our prayers tonight because his mother-in-law's at the hospital and wasn't doing well. So, also last month's council meeting, Mr. Laybourne mentioned that during the July 13th, 2022 council meeting, I challenged him that he could not voice his opinions at any open meetings of the village. For the record, I said nothing of that sort. And at that meeting, I actually encouraged Mr. Laybourne that he should show up at meetings, voice his opinion to help the village if he so chose to. Please look at both the meeting videos to see exactly what was said. And so I just wanted to make sure that was set in the record. Happy Valentine's Day. Again, appreciate the audit presentation and all the work village staff and treasurer did on it. Great job. And thank Mr. Dumont for all his service. And with that, accept a motion to go into closed session. Motion to,
We'll adjourn to closed session.
adjourn to closed session, and then we'll motion to close after.
Yeah, and we will not be back out here
Yeah.
publicly after the meeting. Our only motion at that point will be to adjourn.
Adjourn, that's what I meant. Okay.